All right, this is Ed, and I'm in San Diego, and behind me is part of San Diego Harbor on Shelter Island. And this is real. It looks beautiful, but it's a real shot. Happened to be maybe 2 months ago, and beautiful day. And our special guest today in St. George, Utah, is Mark Colo. And welcome, Mark.
Good to see you, Ed.
Yeah, good to see you. Welcome. Good to see your family there. So is that a live scene in St. George? That's a real
No, this is
scene?
not live. I do need to get a probably connection for that. But this was a vacation trip that we took from St. George to the Grand Teton mountain range right behind us. It's a magnificent mountain range, and we just spent about 3 days up there. We camped out and had a good time with the family. Took a boat ride on the lake and just beautiful scenery there. And
So how far a drive? How long a drive is that from St. George?
from St. George is probably about 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah. Would you go north?
Go north.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
All right. So, Mark, the topic today is about you and being a Parkinson's patient and proactively have, how you proactively have, uh, well, there's nothing to conquer, but just deal successfully and proactively with Parkinson's. Is that right?
That's right, Ed. Yeah, today I wanted just to go over uh, the different symptoms that can come from Parkinson's and help the viewers be able to get an idea of that there might be some symptoms and some aspects to the disease that maybe if they knew ahead of time that entailed and might need some guidance and help, they could have an overall feeling of the condition. It's a very hard disease to pinpoint, and because it's different for everybody. So each person, it's a unique thing for each patient. It sometimes takes a while to get a grasp on it.
So the idea is to understand what is happening inside your head and how your own body and mind can deal with this and ways of seeking help. It's not something that you can do all by yourself. You need a circle of friends.
It needs a team of friends, and it's hard for each of those that participate and that want to help because there's only so much you can do. And you have to step back at times and just try and get a feel for all of the dynamics that are involved in this one diagnosis. And what is the most critical at this juncture? What do we need to, what does the patient need the most? And
Yeah.
that's a hard thing to come up with. That's a hard thing in general for people that are caregivers and those people that just have their loved ones and they want them to, have a happier life and have more meaning. So it does it takes some time and it takes some experts too, because certainly not all doctors are created equal. And when you get a disease like Parkinson's, you're suddenly jumping from one main physician doctor who's helping with a lot of your problems because of the disease, but you also need specialists because there's so many little offshoots of this disease that you need to have more than one person who's an expert. And that's one of my pet peeves that I've had for 20 years now is realizing that, hey, the specialist I'm going to see for this problem, they may be an expert. They may know the right things to give you and the right, path to follow. But in reality, you'll find answers and you'll find help and you'll find guidance in the strangest places, Ed. I mean, you're suddenly your access to experts jumps from one position. Now you've got 15, and because each aspect of your Parkinson's is unique. So it's very complicated when you get to a point where you're dealing with 15 different positions. Sometimes it's hard just to remember their name.
Oh, good. Okay. So talk about the circle of friends, circle of support.
Well, in the circle of friends, from my perspective, is you want to, first of all, you want to have, this is my advice to the potential patient. You want to have a physician and specialist that really understands the disease, and the disease has so many facets to it. To me, the most important title that you want on that physician's card is movement disorders. You want a specialist who has a background and understanding of movement disorders, because that's most of what you're going to deal with as the disease gets worse and as it progresses. And that's one of the more complicated areas to really deal with. So what I did in my situation was I went to all the major hospitals here in St. George, met with whomever had the title of specialist in Parkinson's disease. And then more specifically, I drilled down and tried to look for who has that designation on their card that says that they understand movement disorders. That was my first pick. And so that created some more difficulties and challenges because my specialist that I chose, there was only one person in my whole network that had the title of movement disorder. So I had to just really comb the brush and look all over, up and down, every which way to find somebody that might fit the bill. So I found someone that's not in St. George, they're actually in Murray, Utah. And Murray, Utah is just maybe about 30 minutes from Salt Lake. So for me to drive to see my specialist, well, that's puts a hardship on me because that's a long drive up and back, for one thing. So, and then the other thing I wanted to find out was, do they have telecommuting type calls that I could set up with that specialist, and are they willing to do that? And that way I don't have to make the drive, but we can see each other face to face, per se.
Just like
And
what you and I are doing now.
just like we're doing now. And so you can see a lot of the details. You can see my facial features and how they're a little bit tough looking. Looks like I'm a boxer or someone who's gonna go out and beat someone up. I mean, that's the facial, how the facial muscles get impacted by the disease. The other thing you can see is with my eyes, they look like they're fairly stern looking, and my eyebrows are fairly stern looking. And so that's another part of that disease aspect of it. And each of these things have names and titles. Well, with the facial feature, trying to understand and read their lips and see what they're really saying. The name of that condition is called a facial mask condition. So every Parkinson's patient that's had it for any length of time will look a little bit stern looking and will find it hard to smile. You kind of lose your smile in the beginning. So that's just one facet. But again, a movement disorder person if they've got that on their card, they could probably sit down and talk with me for a whole day on that one topic. Yeah, and so it's really important to get someone who's an expert.
Now, would this be a therapist or an actual doctor?
This would be an actual doctor.
Yeah,
Yeah, but the doctors have what they call MAs, medical assistants. So that term comes into play. And so they might just meet with the patient twice a year, every 6 months, and that's pretty common. Then the other 3 months or 6 months, they have their MA will meet with the patient and help them on a call such as this. So my next call with my specialist is going to be an MA, and I haven't even talked to her yet, so I'm hopeful she'll be just about as knowledgeable as my specialist is.
right. So, do you share your videos with me, for instance, or the videos you did as a TED speaker to let the therapists and the doctors know how advanced you are?
I do that.
That's a
I'm a
smart
little
move.
bit a little bit cautious because I'm a bit different animal, Ed, as far as my background and my experience. Because my last, I'd say it was 10 or 15 years in my career, I was dealing face to face with scientists who were at the very top of their class. I mean, these gentlemen and these women were very, very bright resources. I enjoyed talking to them. Jean Loring, who runs her location down in La Jolla, she's a brilliant woman, and she's probably as knowledgeable as anyone about stem cell and the importance of stem cell in trying to repair the body that's been hammered by Parkinson's disease. So her process is she'll take some of your cells from your own area where it produces dopamine. That's another problem why Parkinson's patients tremor, because there's not enough dopamine in the system.
And
And
that is a calming effect. Is that it?
it does. And it also gives you a rejuvenation feeling. You know, it's just, it gives you a pickup. And that's something that all PD patients need help with. But she's on the cutting edge of coming up with a process where she can help this patient start producing their own dopamine and see that make a difference in the patient's
Is
life.
that one of the items that's being researched up in the space station in zero gravity?
It will be one of the areas that they'll do their testing on. I'm confident of that.
So it's not going on now, but it's on schedule.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I can't speak to too much of that testing because I haven't done it yet. But I know folks who do it. Another one is Howard Federoff. He's been a good friend and a knowledgeable resource for me for many years. So I'm probably asking different questions than many of the average PD patients might want to cover. I'll usually pick it up at some point. But I think I told you the last time we spoke, I came up with about 60 different symptoms. 60.
Oh, that's a lot.
And that's a lot of different symptoms to come up. And some of those will come in a very short amount of time. Others might not come at all, because it doesn't fit that patient for whatever reason. But anyway, so it's difficult. But the three areas I want to cover, and I'm gonna get this form finished. This is kind of my start on it. That's probably not gonna work.
Yeah, I cannot see it. It's waving
Yeah, well,
back and forth.
this is essentially an Excel spreadsheet, but I've got it divided into three parts. One is symptoms. So I'm going to have on this document all the symptoms that a PD patient may encounter. Second is adaptation. I'm going to have ideas and suggestions how they can adapt to whatever that challenge is, whatever that symptom it represents. And then I've got OTC, which is over the counter. And I want to have the most cost effective, you know, least expensive resources and where you get those resources and what the benefit of that will be from a over the counter standpoint. So that's one of the projects I'm working on.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk for a few minutes about your exercise, how you uh, play golf, and what else do you do to use up, redirect energy?
Well, of course, the most important thing I think for any patient for any condition, whether it be cancer, whether it be respiratory problems, whether it be muscular problems, to me the most important and most essential exercise there is simply walking. Just get going outside when the temperature is conducive. And where I live now, I get some pretty cold mornings. I mean, I'll look at my temperature and it'll say 30 degrees. Well, I'm probably not going to go out and walk for 2 or 3 miles and run the risk of getting a snowstorm falling on me. So I have to pick and choose my times and my battles. But walking is so important. One of my best friends when I was in my different congregation for my religion, he was so helpful to me. He was an orthopedic surgeon, and he worked for Kaiser Permanente, and he came up with all kinds of processes and surgeries that helped patients there at the main hospital. So I just was fascinated when I would talk to him. Each time I meet with him, I just have to smile. Well, I try to smile anyways, but my smile is a little harder to be forthcoming. But he looks just like, if you saw him on the street, you would think of the guy that was in Back to the Future with, who was it? Michael J. Fox, right? He's
Yeah,
the
that's right.
star. And his sidekick or his right-hand man was that crazy looking doctor. His hair was all puffy out, and he was, he
Yeah.
had his stern look. Looked like he had PD. I couldn't tell for sure, but I loved his role. I loved the way he talked, and just had so much fun seeing him. But he told me once. He said, "Mark, I know you got some back problems. You won't believe this. I'm not going to tell you his name, so I don't want to get him into any trouble." But I had a herniated disc in my neck, and I had a herniated disc in my lower lumbar area, like 4-5, L4-5. And if you know about back pain, and if you suffer from back pain, and no one wants that feeling. I mean, it's not pleasant. And I was for about 18 years of my life, I've served in religious positions where I've been able to serve and help other people. And I've really enjoyed being able to do that. So, but he said to me, he said, one day he saw me at our congregation. He said, "Mark, you look a little stiff today. You look stiffer than normal. What's going on with you?" I said, "Well, I got a couple of problems in my discs." "Oh, really?" I said, "Can I come by your house tonight?" So this is a full-on doctor who's been an orthopedic surgeon who's won awards for his abilities and the things he's done. I said, "You can come by anytime you want." He said, "Okay, well, I'm going to come by tonight at 5 o'clock. So I'll see you then." I said, "Okay, great." I had no idea, Ed, what he was going to do. I had no idea that he could do what he did do. And he came in, walked in and knocked on the front door. I invited him right in. We went to the kitchen. okay, I'm going to do something. I'm going to give you a shot first. So he's giving me a shot, right? And I'm thinking there's got to be some possibility for some error or something from that. I don't know. Maybe he legally could get in trouble for giving Kaiser shots outside the Kaiser building. I don't know. I don't know that part of the business. But he said, I want you to I'm going to pull your shirt up and I want you to lean over your island where your sink is. And I said, okay. So he said, put your arms in front of you like you're doing a Superman there and you got your arms out. And then I want you to relax. Well, could you imagine trying to relax in that situation? I don't know what he's giving me. I don't know what good it's going to do. But it was a local sedative he first gave me a shot with. I did not feel a thing. I did not feel a pinch. I did not feel any kind of pain whatsoever. It was just dead. I had to ask him, "Are you done?" He says, "No, we're going to do our procedure now." So I thought, oh, okay. And so I lean forward again, literally it took him 5 minutes to do my neck disc, which is a C4-5, and at the same time to do the bottom. Within 10 minutes, I was done. He said, just don't go jumping around now, Mark. Just take it, let the body settle. And so I let it settle. And it's the most miraculous thing I've ever experienced in my life to go from yeah, I'll see you at 5 and then doing his whole procedure. But during that, at that point in time, he said, Mark, promise me with your disc, you've got bad discs, I can tell. He said, make sure you do your walking. If nothing else, do your walking and walk for 2 or 3 miles. I have friends that have other ailments and they'll walk for 6 miles, but whatever is comfortable for you to do or for you to reach is probably a safe place to be. Anyhow, that was kind of ramble.
That's a good story. That's
Yeah,
really, really human and
yeah,
happy. And I'm very happy to have you on the show. It's very useful for people who are not familiar with
yeah,
Parkinson's,
yeah.
um, or maybe even more useful. This information is more useful for people who know someone who has PD.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So thank you for doing this.
You're welcome.
All right,
Well,
this is Ed in San Diego, and that's Mark in St. George, Utah. And this program is called To Life with an exclamation point on it. Thank you for being on the show.
good to be here, Ed. Anytime.
Have a good one. All right,
You
you'll
too.
get a copy of this later today.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'll enjoy that. All
Take
right.
care.